ahead and get us started.
Hey, Coach, can you just talk about the advantage of playing, number one, playing at your place, and number two, what the crowd does for your team?
Well, shoot, I thought our crowd was incredible this past weekend, from the first pitch to the very last. And I think it's a big advantage for our team because it just provides so much energy. It just like fuels them. And you could tell just in that first pitch on Sunday against Stanford, when you have behind the plate yelling Arkansas and the berm yelling Razorbacks, and it's like echoing and it's creating just the coolest atmosphere. It hypes them up. It not that, I mean, they're pretty hype on their own, but it just, you just know the whole crowd's behind you. And I think it's incredible. I think we have the best fan base in the country, and they love the Razorbacks when they're calling their hogs and it's 2,500, 3,000 deep. It's pretty special.
Coach Candrea also mentioned when I talked to him earlier this week about, how different it's radically different, in a COVID year where you've been a lot of places where there haven't been very many fans. So do you feel like that even maybe gives your team an even bigger advantage, possibly?
Yeah, I do think so. I think their stadium was pretty stacked or packed this last weekend, but I think it was even a little bit of an adjustment for us. Just like that amount of noise and that atmosphere was a little adjustment for us. When the all of a sudden you're kind of in a barn burner situation and you're feeling the energy from the crowd. We had a couple nervy situations here and there, but it was just kind of nice to be able to work through that. And then it's also nice that the crowd's behind you. Be a lot different story if we were in an opposing yard.
I'll let somebody else go. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks.
Ryan?
What do you think it's going to be like to coach against Mike Candrea? You played against him when you were at Cal, and then he was saying that he actually recruited your sister too.
Mm-hmm. My sister was like an all-world pitcher. She was very, very good. I just have a ton of respect for Mike Candrea. He's a legend in our sport. He's one of the best to have ever done it. And so I think that, I guess it's really cool. I don't know. I don't have anything like profound to say. I just think it's really cool. I think that he has built such an incredible program there, and continues to create that every year. I have a ton of respect for him. So I think it's really cool.
And what do you see as the biggest differences between Pac-12 softball and SEC softball?
I don't know that I see huge differences. I just see high level softball in both. I think it's the best of the best, battling it out. And so I don't know that it's that different, to be completely honest. I think that obviously the TV exposure and the stadiums and the fans and all that is very different. But as it just relates to the level of softball, I don't think it's a big difference. I think it's elite across the board in both conferences.
Jason?
Coach, typically Arizona wouldn't be coming to Fayetteville, but it's a super regional. It's a historic program in Arizona, and you're trying to build Arkansas into that level. Just the matchup overall and how significant this is, hosting a program like Arizona this weekend in a super regional.
Well, I think it's just huge to be hosting the super regional and put ourselves into position to do that. I think it's an added level of being special when you bring in a program like Arizona, has so much storied success. But we're not really focusing on that so much as just being really excited to play tomorrow. We're excited to be in a super. We're excited for the opportunity. We're excited to be home. We're excited to be in front of our fans. And so we're really just focusing on that and focusing on us and what we've done all year. So we're not gonna make it a lot bigger than that. We've done a really good job of staying in the moment and just being ready for the next pitch. We'll continue to do that.
And how's Autumn's ankle? Everything good to go with her this weekend?
She's good to go. She's good to go. We're gonna bubble wrap her and we'll be good to go.
Any other questions for Coach Deifel? Ryan?
How would you describe your offense? I mean, just looking at it from a number standpoint, it seems like you guys just kind of live and die by the long ball. I'm just curious what your take is on that.
I think we're an offense that can be dangerous at any point, 1 through 9. I think we have the ability to put it out 1 through 9. We don't go into games thinking that we want to hit a bunch of long balls. We go into games, looking for the pitch that we're hunting and trying to put a good swing on it and hitting it as hard as we can. And that's resulted in some home runs. And I know that it's kind of glamorous, but that's not the intent. The intent is just to hit the ball hard. And I think that, we're an offense where, it can be productive throughout. It's been productive throughout. I think we've had games where we've relied on the bottom half just as much as we've relied on the top, but we have a very explosive top. And so I just think that they're an offense that feeds off each other and just really more than anything just tries to pass the bat and set the table for the next batter.
Porter.
Coach, talk about this SEC schedule you've played and how has that prepared you for moments like this? You talked about playing one game at a time and not letting the atmosphere and playing in the super regional get to you. So how's the whole season prepared y'all for this?
Well, I know we say this a lot in our conference, but we really do feel like every weekend we play a super regional. So, going into this weekend, it's another 3-game series. Obviously the stakes are a little bit higher, but it's another 3-game series and you really just go into the series trying to get the first one. And that's really it. So it's a grind in our conference schedule. It demands you to be resilient. It demands toughness out of you. It demands that you keep throwing punches, and it demands you to find a way to win if you don't have your best. And there's a long list of what our conference demands from us, and it prepares us for this. So we're going into this knowing what it's like to be in a 3-game series, and our focus is on the first one.
Eric.
Coach, you're one of the few people that could say you beat Coach Kendrea for a national championship. What do you remember from that game, and what was it like competing against him as a player?
Oh gosh, well, I had a ton of respect for him as a player as I do now as a coach, even more so probably as a coach, because I see what you have to do, on a daily basis, and just what he's been able to do at a high level for so long. It's just incredible. I remember that game. I actually got asked about it the other day, and they said, are there any, does your team resemble that at all, of that situation? And I was like, I just remember walking into the stadium, and it was Jenny Finch's senior year. And we had done pretty well against them in our Pac-10 at that time. I'm old. Pac-10 matchup. I think we won 2 of the 3 when we matched up earlier in the game. So earlier in the season, we had a good amount of confidence. But when we walked into the stadium, the entire stadium, minus like our parent section, was in Arizona gear. Like the entire stadium. There was like Super Finch shirts. There was Arizona this. There's poster boards everywhere with signs for Arizona and Jenny, who obviously was an incredible pitcher, incredible competitor. And I just remember, us as a team just focusing on us and saying, there is not anybody in this stadium that thinks we're going to win except us in this circle. And that's all that matters. And we weren't big-eyed over the stage or who we were playing. We had a really strong belief in us, and that's all that really mattered. And we just fought. I think we scored 6 runs in the top of the 7th, which is when you want to score them against an offense like Arizona. But that team reminds me of this team. Our team's really feisty. Our team's, has a little bit of that underdog mentality. I know we're the higher seed, but we feel like we're the underdog. We feel like we've been overlooked a lot of the year. We have that feisty fight for each other mentality that has really turned us into one of the toughest teams in the country. And so I see a strong resemblance in this team and that team. And more than anything, we have a really strong belief in each other, just like that Cal team in 02.
When you took over this program, did part of you envision turning this program to being like Coach Kendrea has talked about, like Arizona wasn't Arizona until it just happened? Did you kind of when you took over this program, did you see your vision as, hey, we could be the next Arizona, we could be our own Arkansas, and maybe took some things from watching them up from afar?
Yeah, I absolutely think that as a coach, you're constantly learning, and it's not like any ideas you have are your own. You're just begging and borrowing and stealing them from everybody that you have a ton of respect for. And sometimes you're finding ideas you wouldn't do. You're just constantly learning if you're doing it right. And yeah, when you set out to get here, I didn't set out here going, oh, I want to build the next Arizona. We wanted to build Arkansas, but it's a accumulation of great opponents, great coaches, watching what they do, learning from the best, watching how they carry themselves, watching how they compete, watching how they respond, watching coaches' demeanors. I'm constantly watching everybody, just trying to be the best version of me for this group, and trying to make this version the best Arkansas. But we don't get caught up in trying to be others. I think in the SEC, when we got here, it would be really easy to be like, oh, look at what Florida does, or look what Alabama does. And we've never gotten caught up in that. We just run our own race here. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I was just taking ideas from just, a lot of programs that I have a ton of respect for. And it's really cool. I was actually talking to a recruit the other day, and she's like, oh, I just think it's so awesome that you're a national powerhouse. And I'm like, are we? But it's just awesome that they've created this name for them and put themselves on the map, because that's what they came here to do. And they came here to build it into, have national recognition, and they've done that. And that was a really long answer, Eric, sorry. But there you go.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that will wrap us up with Coach Deifel. Thanks, everyone.